So
You think?
yeah, they ain't fixing to win no championship. They had their run, so they'll be back in a couple of years, but not right now.
Okay.
All right,
I can't probably get to see you Thursday because I got
That's fine.
training tomorrow, so I won't be here tomorrow.
That's fine.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right. All right. Good morning. This is Sports for Real. I'm running a little late here. As you see, I was in a little offbeat conversation, but it still turned to sports because I was an Alabama fan I was just rapping to. I want to talk a little bit about this NFL overtime rule crap. Every time there's a major game and it's highly competitive and it ends in a tie, which is not too often, by the way, you always have a bunch of people complaining that the rules should be changed. Now, when I was a kid, the rules were simple. In overtime, if you score first, you win the game, no matter if it was a touchdown or what. The first score wins. Now, Donovan McNabb, he got into a tie with the Bengals, I think it was back in '08. And he got on there talking about he didn't know that an overtime could end in a tie. Now I'm thinking the most important position on the field, out of all the positions that existed, the one that need to know what the rules were exactly the most, he didn't know. The quarterback didn't know that the game can end in a tie. Well, after all of that, the league goes back and they look at the rule and they start making changes. So they came up with the thing where it changed the time from 15 minutes back to 10 minutes. And then if you scored a field goal, the other team had a chance to come back. And then after that, if they tied it up, then the first score will win after that. Or if both teams had a possession and nobody scored, then the next score after that will win. Well, it seems that to me that nobody's going to be satisfied with whatever rule they come up with. And then I saw Michael Irvin the other day. He's talking about the rule and he's complaining because he's saying that it should go to a college rule where you either put it on the 25-yard line or you have the kickers line up and have them decide about who can kick the longest kicks. And I'm thinking everybody's trying to find an excuse or easy way out to settle the game instead of the way the game got to that point in the first place. Now, their gripe is that the game is so grueling is that any extra play is going to hurt the players even more. Well, the players know what they into when they start playing the game. If the game happens to go in overtime, how is that more dangerous to a player than, say, the first quarter? It doesn't make a difference. Anytime that you snap the ball, somebody can get hurt. Violator Bangalore, how you doing? So I don't understand all this crying that's going on. What I do believe that everybody should have a chance to touch the ball. Now, when they had the thing where the first team scored, that was tough. If you didn't win the toss, at least you still had a chance to stop them. And I didn't have a problem with that either. But the best overtime that I see of any sport, of any level of football, is definitely high school football. You put that thing down on the 10-yard line, and you got 4 downs. And then when that don't work, the other team gets 4 downs. And you keep going back and forth until the winner is settled. Now, one thing they could do that the high schools don't mandate is that you can go for 2 after every time you score. And that would shorten a lot of those games because everybody's not going to get a 2-point conversion. But then again, it doesn't matter what rule you make. If it's destined to go deep into the night, that's what's going to happen. And like I say, the best overtimes I've seen was to put it on the 10-yard line. And it evolved from a penetration standpoint. In other words, both teams would get 4 downs, right? And you will alternate possessions. We'll put the ball on the 50-yard line. I run a play. I penetrate into your territory, then you run your play back the other way. And we keep going until all 4 plays are run, unless somebody scored a touchdown. Then that made all the difference right then. So I still don't think that there's any great way to do it other than playing it all out. Now, in the playoffs, the overtime rules change. You're going to play as long as it takes to settle that overtime contest. In other words, it's like a brand new game. And I think Green Bay, the way they were functioning in overtime the other night, they thought maybe they got another quarter to play because he is trying to run the ball and bleeding the clock when you trying to, all you need is a touchdown to win. Dallas couldn't stop you. So why are you behaving like you just need a field goal to extend the game? Green Bay fumbled they mismanaged the whole overtime period. It's almost like they were trying to give the game away, and they just happened to get a break with the clock operator who stopped the clock at 1 second. Otherwise, they should have lost. In my opinion, they should have lost by the way they played. They had no business being in the game with the Cowboys because they're head and shoulders to me better than that team. Now, Jerry Jones, he would disagree with that vehemently because he's going around clucking and crowing like he had won the game. But these reporters, they never asked the question that they should ask. The question they should have asked, tap Jones on the shoulder, are you aware that you did not win the game? He's going around saying how he's proved right that the Michael Parsons trade was the thing to do for the Cowboys. Well, I didn't see any of that. And I'm kind of disappointed because that Parsons tackle on Dak Prescott when he grabbed him by the ankle, if he doesn't, Prescott scores. Well, I saw my money going out the door because I happened to have a parlay on that, and I needed Prescott to rush for 3 more yards. And I'd be damned if he didn't make the tackle to kill me for $700. But that's okay. I'll win one day, man. All right. Vince Reed said, I do believe both teams should touch the ball. I definitely believe in that. And, yeah, Jerry, man, we're all tired of that. It's time for him to go somewhere, but at the same time, it is his team, so he can say what he wants to say about his team. But the more he talks, a lot less sense he makes. And I don't know if that comes with getting older and not giving a damn. Because I know at my age, shit, I'm 40 years behind him, and I'm starting to not give a damn about a lot of stuff. And I know the older you get, the less you give a damn. So I understand where Jerry's coming from, but he needs to sit down somewhere and let somebody else speak. You know, he got his kids as like co-owners of the team. They should let them do the talking instead of this guy. But Parsons was definitely a great trade for the Packers. And even though the Dallas was trying their best to keep him from dominating the game, he still had an impact on the game. And I just think Green Bay, if they get their offensive attack straightened out, they're going to be fine. Because I don't think LaFleur sometimes, you don't seem to have a clear idea about what he wants to do. Yeah, you want to run a lot of screens and stuff, but then it's a lot of keystone cop plays. He's running a screen and throw the ball away or throw the ball in the dirt and just get rid of it to keep from getting killed. I mean, it's like, I don't understand what they're doing. And when you got all these receivers running free in the Cowboys secondary, who, by the way, is just as poor as the Ravens run defense, why are you wasting time bleeding the clock when you should try to score a touchdown and win? I just didn't understand. Unless, of course, this is something that the league mandated for them to do. Make sure you kick a field goal so we can have this tie. This will be a lot of stuff for the people to talk about and keeps our league in the forefront. And I wonder sometimes if the league have any kind of influence over how these games work, because you can't tell me, and I'm not a Cowboys fan by any stretch, but that pass out the end zone that Love threw, that they stopped at 1 second, that clock should have expired. So I don't know, man. JC, how you doing, man? I don't like ties. Both teams should continue playing until there's a winner. Well, according to Michael Irvin, no, that's too much hardship on players, and regardless that they're getting paid to play extreme amounts of money, they shouldn't have to exert themselves over a particular point. And that's basically the point I got from what he was saying. And yeah, I understand it's a tough physical game, but, you know, win the game in regulation, you don't have to worry about it. But no matter how long the game goes, somebody's going to be at risk every play of getting messed up. And that's just the nature of the game. All right, so yeah, double up every snap. What are you talking about, Vince? What do you mean double up? But I think that in the end, the NFL is going to overreact again, and they're going to change the rules. And they're going to make it look more like college football and everything else when we're not interested in it looking like college football. We want the pro game to be the pro game. And if they're going to change anything, I think they should take it back the way it was. You win the coin flip, you score, ball game's over. But again, they're going to overreact, and I think in whatever they come up with, both teams are going to have a chance to get the ball, and that's probably the fairest way to go. If you can't score or you turn it over, then that's on you. Then they'll find a way to complain about that. Okay, we double Parsons every snap. Okay, say we. So you must be a Cowboy fan. Well, Mr. Cowboy fan, tell me what you think about this team, man. Clowney, I didn't see him getting a whole lot of pressure the other night. Kenny Clark, he played a good game because primarily he's playing against his old team. The first time you play against your old team, that's great motivation there. And Clark had that. And I wonder if the Cowboys can play well enough in the secondary to compete. All right. I got a question. Do it. Clap. Man, you talking stupid. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. So you think the team is terrible. All right. So, you got a break with the Commanders. Their quarterback is all banged up. They're not at full speed. The Giants, I thought it was potentially dangerous. They gave you all the hell in the first game. Now you got this young guy, Jackson Dart, who's energized them. Who knows what that can be? And then you got the Eagles. I don't think you can beat the Eagles, but you got a good shot of being the number 2 seed in that division. Do you think you can hold the Giants off to get number 2 in the NFC East? That'd be a good question for Cowboys fan. I think Dak, the man is throwing that football. I don't think I ever seen him play this well. And I like that Williams guy out of the backfield. I said before the season with the addition of Parsons, what's the receiver from Pittsburgh, George Pickens. With the addition of him, I think the Cowboys could have scored 28 points a game. So they have had 2 games where they scored over 30, and that's right about where I thought they would be. And you don't have CeeDee Lamb, and when he comes back, that's going to open the offense up even more. But I like that guy Tolbert. Tolbert is a big addition for Cowboys, and it was his opportunity with Lamb being out to show that he can produce a little bit more. So he might be playing for a contract to go play for somewhere else down the line. But when Lamb is out, Tolbert is opening everything up, and offense is pretty good for Dallas. But if you can't stop anybody, hell, what difference does it make? Laugh my ass off. We get beat deep all year. I don't think they can stop the bleeding. If Bland is letting them go by, our season is cooked. Yeah, well, my question is this. How do you think you do against Baltimore? Baltimore defense just as fast as the Cowboys. If you score 4 and your defense can't hold them down, it don't make no difference. Look, man, it's demoralizing to give up 40 points, man. But I am surprised that the Packers, they give up that many points the other night. But like I say, I wonder if the league has their hand in some of these outcomes in the league. Not saying that Dallas can't compete, because in the NFL, I don't care how bad you are, you're about this far from the top of the league. It's not much difference between the teams. An injury here or a fumble there changes the complete outcomes of these games, man. And it's always been that way, and that's what makes the games exciting. And you got young guys like Justin Fields. You see that run he ran last night? Man, that was dope. They had him, and then he reversed course, and he picked up a block to get that cone. It was gone. That's the kind of stuff you see in high school. All right. But anyway, I just want to know if you think these overtime rules should be changed. I felt like Donovan McNabb was wrong when he said that he didn't know what the rules were. That's unacceptable as a quarterback not to know what the rules of the game are. And Green Bay, they were thinking along the lines of Donovan McNabb. They was acting like they had another 2 quarters to play, when all they had to do was attack the end zone. They probably would have scored. And LaFleur, he looked off all night, almost like he had something on his mind. These guys go through a lot, and despite all the football stuff, they still got personal things they have to deal with. And he looked like he had something on his mind. But I think Green Bay, a lot of people picked them to go to the Super Bowl after they beat Detroit. I don't think so. And I think Detroit, they were a victim of that first week thing. You know, in football, you don't know what you got really until week 2. You should play that first game and you see what you thought you were gonna have, you're gonna make some major changes going into week 2. And that from that point forward, second game on is where you see the true identity of the teams that you're dealing with. So if you're gonna knock somebody off, the best time to catch them is in week 1. And that's what happened to Detroit. Even though they got beat by a couple scores, they were down in scoring position several times against Green Bay, and Green Bay held them out. So they can't expect to keep doing that. And with the confidence that Detroit is playing with right now, if the defense fall apart with injuries like they did last year, Detroit's going to be tough to deal with. All right, Buffalo, they get to the playoffs, and Kansas City, now that they got their weapons back, they're going to be dangerous. You can't count them out. And then the team that nobody's really talking about is my team, them Steelers, man. Everybody say Rodgers was washed up. Well, he might be washed up, but if Pittsburgh is able to run the ball and put up 24, 27 points a game, with that defense committing all those turnovers, forcing those turnovers, Pittsburgh is going to be a hard out. Now, Buffalo's had Pittsburgh's name over the last couple of years, but this is a different year. And just case in point, how things change in the NFL. The last couple of times the Jaguars played the 49ers, the Niners hit them on the head with a club. In the first quarter, they down 2 or 3 scores, but they went out to the coast the other day and knocked them off. So Jacksonville is in the position right now. They got Kansas City coming in on Monday night. If they knock them off and they going 4-1, knowing that they had Cincinnati beat, yeah, Jacksonville's in a position to make a run because the AFC South is terrible. I know the Colts are playing good right now, but that's fool's gold. They come to Jacksonville, they can't play in Jacksonville. I think they got a curse on their head because if you know, they flirted with Jacksonville to move that team here back in '79, and you were just using them as leverage to get deals elsewhere, and it didn't work out for them. And every time they come here, they lose. And as long as they keep that advantage over the Colts, and they can go out to Indianapolis and beat them, Jacksonville is in prime position, man. But yeah, you got DK Metcalf, but that's the only thing they got. I was disappointed with this guy, Austin. I think his name Calvin Austin. I'm not impressed with him at all. Pittsburgh needs some help on the other side. Losing George Pickens hurting that vein, but Pickens was a cancer, I understand, in the locker room. Because of that, he had to get rid of him. But Austin, he needs to step up. And if he steps up with Metcalf on the other side, and you got your tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth, Pittsburgh is going to be a tough out. It's just a matter of can the defense keep up without falling apart late down the stretch. All right, Joe Perez says, coming in on Packers, and they tie. 93% coming in on the Chargers, they lose. 90% on the Vikings and the Ravens both lost. And I can name a few more. So in other words, you're saying it's fixed. NFL is fake. Casinos don't want to pay all these people, so it's fake. Well, the only way that you can say for sure on something like that is if the casinos have a direct connection with controlling the owners or some kind of stake in NFL where they can influence things. Other than that, they fix these lines based on the averages of what players and teams do. And your team is off a little bit, then you're gonna lose. I don't know, man. It's a tough question about these gambling things. First, they want to keep all that stuff out, and it was taboo. And then you go take a team like the Raiders and put them in Las Vegas. Then you got the hockey team in Las Vegas. So all that crap you're talking about gambling and all that, and went out the window. That's why you're seeing all these rapid changes now because they can no longer hide behind the hypocrisy, man. All right. But they say Jags can easily beat the Steelers. Yeah, well, I'm going to get me a copy of Madden 25 or 26 too, and I want to put it on the mode, and I want to take the Jags and play against Pittsburgh, and I'll beat the Steelers too. But on the field, shit, Jaguars better sit down somewhere. We got something for them, man. You can't play with this, man. But I like the way the Jaguars are progressing. And if you guys don't know it, I do the Fango Media. I go down and talk to the Jaguars fans after each game, get their hot takes. You catch me on the east side of the stadium after the game in a light green shirt. And I did the video on the Texans last game. So if you go to Fango Media and hit watch latest videos, scroll through, you'll see me on there. I didn't put a link on there this time, but yeah, you can find me on Fango Media. So anyway, great comeback analysis. And I think money changes sport. I think there's too much money involved. Yeah, it's some hidden figures in there somewhere. And I hate to know who these hidden figures are. And I don't even want to try to even approach trying to uncover anything. I just stick with the football. I know what I see, and I can't get too deep into what I don't see. But sometimes you have to scratch your head and wonder what's really going on. But hopefully nothing underhanded is really going on. But most of you are saying that the overtime rules game should be settled in the NFL. I say put it on the 10-yard line, man. And let's see who won it the most. And just like in soccer, if you don't score after like one or two possessions, then you can take the kickers and see who can kick the longest field goal. Maybe that would be it. Well, I don't know. But you can't avoid ties. College football is interesting when, especially now, you got teams that are forced to play tougher competition where they never had to do that before. They'll run into a couple of tough teams in the conference, but now it's more widespread. You could run your season and go to a bowl game and never face the top teams the way it used to be, but now you can't do that. With the playoff system, and then the conferences forcing you to play at least one opponent out of the other Power Four conferences, you got teams going to places that they've never been. Take, for instance, the Texas Longhorns coming to Florida this week. They hadn't been here since World War II. They played it for the first time since World War II last year when Florida went out there. You see Notre Dame going to Arkansas. But, Notre Dame was one of those kind of schools. They would go to places like that. USC was another school. They didn't give a damn who they played. But you take a team from the SEC, Florida, they want to play you. Alabama would play you. Georgia would play you. Auburn would definitely play you. But the Gators, shit, if they didn't have to leave Gainesville, they never would. But if they had a good team, they'd be the first one talking about we number one. Then you have teams like in the Big Ten. They would never come down here. Case in point, going back to the SEC, Alabama treated Florida State like stepchild because they were established when Florida State came around, and they were no real. It was one of those games where they would have to play Florida State to come up there to play them. But this year they had to go to Florida State. That is the first time they ever went to Florida State, and they played several times. Why is it that it's the first time that these guys played? Yeah, he was at Notre Dame, Arkansas. Well, there was a lot of dead time in that one, man. But you're talking about the Pittman. If he loses 4 in a row, it's in his contract that his buyout is reduced. So he has to lose 4 in a row, and he's in a position where he could lose 4 in a row. And if it was Florida, though, Florida get rid of you. And you're already paying 2 or 3 coaches that they fired early already. So that's one of the reasons why this guy they have now hadn't been fired. But if he don't win a couple more games, they're going to get rid of him too. But Pittman, he might be on the way out, man. NIL, I think NIL is great that the players are getting paid, but I think they went overboard with that because you got a lot of deep pocket people behind the scenes that are taking advantage of the loopholes in the system. But they're starting to close all those loopholes because you had the NIL with the transfer period. It used to be in the spring, and you had it in January. Well, they cut the spring off. So now teams will know what they're going to have going through the spring. They don't have to wonder if this guy's going to come back or not. Now you know after the January transfer period who's going to be on the team and who's not. So that's going to be great. But anyway, that horn going off means I got to go sign in and go to work, man. But you guys, first time you're coming in, I appreciate you checking me out. Like and subscribe, and I'll be back on unless there's some breaking news. It'll be about 6:30, 6:35 in the morning. It'll be on for about 25, 30 minutes. Just a little morning sports bite. I'll talk a little football, keep it going. And I appreciate it, Mr. Reed. And I catch you guys in the morning, but I got to get up out of here and go to work, man. And while you're at it, go back and if you want to see some good football, go back and rewind that Steelers-Vikings. And I know you guys out there in Dallas and everywhere else in Baltimore can't play defense.